we don't want someone to over spiritualize it. Whenever we hear things like, well, that was God's will, or, that just almost makes it feel worse sometimes, because then we think, wait, God thinks it's okay that this terrible thing is happening to me. I know one of the hardest things that can happen in our lives is when a friend or someone that's really close to us is going through a traumatic, difficult mental health season. But I just want to offer 5 different things that we can do to come alongside them. Number 1 is pursuing them, right? Sometimes we think, oh, they're going through something hard. I'm going to give them space. I'm going to give them lots of time. I'm going to wait for them to reach out. And actually, sometimes, if I'm honest, like that can be a cop out on my part. Like I'm just afraid to enter in with them. But actually, the best thing that we can do sometimes is just pursue them. And the pursuing them can look different. And that's when we get into the next few options here. But that's number 1, is pursue them. What does that even look like? Does that mean getting together for coffee, or does that mean shooting them a text and saying, hey, I'm thinking of you? Yes, it can mean 100 different things depending on the person and depending on your relationship. But pursuing them is number 1. Number 2 is listen. Being that listening ear. And I know that sounds really, really obvious, but it is so hard to actually do in the moment, to be a person that just listens. I think one of the things, number 2, that we can do is to be okay with silence. I think so many times we want to fill the space with words, and we feel awkward, and so we feel like we need to say something, or we feel like they need us to say something, and so we're not sure what to say, so we just say something. And so many times when we're in a mental health struggle, like that's not actually what we need. We need presence, right? And think of the time when you have needed help from a friend, emotional help from a friend. So many times we just want presence. Sometimes presence can be like, sitting down and playing a video game with somebody, right? They're present. You're together. It can also be listening and letting the person kind of talk, or blow off steam, or vent, or cry, or whatever they need to do, right? And I don't know. So it can just be kind of one of those things where we just like listen and be okay with silence. That's number 3. And so number 1 is pursue them. Number 2 is listen. And number 3 is be okay with silence. I think one aspect of being okay with silence is like, why am I not okay with silence? Is that something that I need to work on? Is that something that I need to find like enough grounding in my own self, in my presence, that I can just sit. I don't have to fill the space or feel antsy about it. So yeah, so that's 1, 2, 3. And number 4, this is so hard, but so many times we want to over spiritualize the situation, or we want to be overly positive. And as someone who's been on the receiving end and on the giving end, and I know you get this too, is we don't want someone to over spiritualize it. Whenever we hear things like, well, that was God's will, or, that just almost makes it feel worse sometimes, because then we think, wait, God thinks it's okay that this terrible thing is happening to me. And then that actually creates some barrier that may or may not already be there between us and God. And so honestly, we want to be leaning into God in the moment, but sometimes it's really hard to navigate. And so we just want to be careful that we're not over spiritualizing and saying, Paul says, I've learned to be content in all things. So that means you just need to be content right now. And again, that kind of a Bible verse that's taken out of context and being applied to this person's life can feel very shameful. Like, oh yeah, I'm really not a good enough believer in Jesus right now, I guess, or I'm not doing a very good job at this, or gosh, I should have more faith. It really takes us into like a whole different space that's not healing when we, over spiritualize the moment. And for some of us, we're already over spiritualizing it. Like if I'm having an emotional struggle, that's one of the easy go-tos for me is, gosh, I wish I had more faith. I wish I were a better person. I wish, all that kind of stuff. And so being reminded that by someone who's a close friend or family member or just a relationship, like, honestly, not very helpful. The other part of this is to avoid being overly positive. Sometimes even it may not be a spiritual thing, but we just say things like, well, he's in a better place, or we could say something like, yeah, but look at all these other positive things going on in your life. And again, what that can do is, number one, it's not validating to the person that's struggling. And so then that person can feel even more alone in it, or they can begin to feel guilt or shame for not remembering that, yeah, there are some other positive things going on in their lives. So that's number 4. We want to try not to over spiritualize or be overly positive in a way that brings shame and guilt upon the person. And then number 5 is we definitely want to encourage help. And this is like gentle to navigate. Depends on the person, depends on the situation. But 2 ways that we can encourage help, as that supportive friend or person is to encourage community, right? Like, hey, we're all going to go play softball on Sunday. Why don't you come with us? Or, there's a group getting together on Thursday night. I'd love for you to come. Or like, hey, let's meet for coffee a couple times this month. How's that sound to you? Or like, hey, we really missed you at church. I was wondering if I came and picked you up, would you come and go with me? So it's just the kind of that encouraging community can really help that person to remember that they're not alone. And the other thing that is so important in encouraging to get help can be therapy, either individual therapy or group therapy. And this is in a professional sort of setting. I'm a huge advocate for professional therapy. It has made such a massive difference in my life. My dad, is a professional therapist and was my entire life growing up. So for me, it feels like a very normal thing. I know that's not for everyone. And I know that it also is not free in a lot of situations. And there's a lot of people on this planet that cannot access it. But I would say if you can access it, pretty much every person on this planet at some point in their life could absolutely benefit emotionally from some professional therapeutic help. And so those are 2 ways that you can encourage community. And then over all 5 of these ways, of course, we can be praying for them. Of course, we can come to the Lord and like intercede on this person's behalf. And I know there have been times when I've been in really weak stages and seasons of my own life, and I didn't even know, but people were praying for me that I didn't even realize. And then I find out later, and I just want to bawl my head off because I'm just like, your prayers literally were carrying me through the power of Jesus through your prayers. So those are the 5 ways that we can come alongside a friend who's going through a difficult emotional challenge. And stay tuned for more comments and thoughts and ways that we can connect with each other through trauma talk.